Hey, Dani K, coming to you from Dani K Gym and Wellness. Today's tip is about measuring like your ideal weight. A lot of times people, they ask me, what is my ideal weight? What should I actually weigh? You hear there's a lot of, confusion with it. And one thing that we used to do is like go by like your height charts. So basically for like women, if you're 5 foot, you should weigh 100 pounds, and then any inch or 5 pounds for every inch over five foot. So that's kind of like what the height chart used to be. I tend to kind of go by that, just to kind of give like a number, and then kind of balance it out with you working out and stuff like that. So it's kind of a guideline. However, it's not real. So like, for instance, I'm 5 foot and I weigh like 117 to 120. I hardly go up to the 120 point, but just for easy numbers, let's just say, 120. So I'm like 117, 118, but I'm 5 foot. So am I 17 pounds overweight? No, because it's muscle. So, when you have to factor in those muscle ideals, it kind of, screws with the concept of what an individual should weigh. So another thing, so I kind of, I think, okay, so if a female is 5'5", should we say that she should definitely weigh 5 times 5 is 25, so she should weigh 125 pounds? I wouldn't say that you should weigh anything less than 125 pounds, but because you're working out, increasing lean tissue and stuff, maybe a 5'5" person should maybe weigh 130 to 135, and kind of go from there. However, again, it's what we actually feel like, what we actually look like. A lot of times people come to me and say, oh, I got to lose 60 pounds. Well, how do you know you have to lose 60 pounds? Because if you're going by certain charts, they could be extremely wrong because they're not incorporating muscle weight. So, you never know. Laura says maybe 120 on, cheat day. Yeah, maybe 130 on cheat day. I don't know. But, you have to incorporate, the muscles. So don't always think that you have to lose 60 pounds. So I always tell people, don't worry about the scale as far as how much weight you should lose. Let's just make sure that the scale, because the scale is a good guideline for, like if it's going down and you're losing 1 to 2 pounds, maybe 3 pounds a week, then then we know that we're on track, and we know that we're not losing too fast, so that we know we're pretty much mostly, at least 90% of that weight loss is going to be body fat. So, and then once you get to a certain point, then look. So you might even think when you first start, you have to lose 60 pounds, but maybe once you're working out and increasing lean tissue and, manipulating, fat and muscle and all that stuff, and maybe you get to 40 pounds lost and you're like, damn, I look good. So you really don't have to lose 60 pounds. You just have to get to that point where you feel that what you like, a visual of what you think 60 pounds of weight loss looks like. You know what I'm saying? So there's all of that to consider. There's also, like the BMI, people like to use the BMI as far as like a weight loss guideline or something, or what you should weigh. BMIs are so, I personally think, wrong. I mean, unless you're a consistent person, an average person, they're going to be off. Like for me, my BMI has me in an overweight category because of my muscle, because of my width of things and everything, my weight to my height, and then like, the measurements that you have to take to get your BMI. So I'm like overweight according to my BMI. I'm not overweight, right? So BMIs aren't that accurate either. So I think one of the main, outside of how you feel and how you look as far as your weight loss, I think one of the main good ways seems to be a little bit more in like a better way, a better average kind of thing that you can, if you're looking at just an average Joe Blow kind of thing, is what we call a waist to hip ratio. So basically what you want to do is you want to measure your waist at your belly button, not higher, not lower, right at your belly button. Make sure it kind of goes around, and then your hips at your wide point, but make sure that your feet are like hip width apart, okay, when you're measuring that. So your belly button measurement, your belly button, your waist, belly button waist measurement. Wow, that was hard for me to say. And your hips, with your feet being hip width apart at your widest point. And then what you want to do is take and divide your waist measurement by your hip measurement. And for women, typically it's about 0.80, 0.80, and for men it's typically 0.95. So again, I didn't, you know, check mine to see what mine actually was in comparison to that. But, you know, that might be, you know, that's another way, guideline, whatever. But typically what I would say is, how do you feel? How do your clothes fit? You know, and, you know, obviously we don't want our bellies to be bigger than our chest. We don't want our bellies to be bigger than our hips. So, you know, that might be another way to measure certain things as far as like a weight loss, you know, kind of thing, without like getting into like exact direct numbers, because again, you have muscle and, you know, and stuff like that to you know, factor in, as far as, you know, like I said, I'm 5 foot, so technically I should only weigh 100 pounds. Well, if I weighed 100 pounds with this muscle, I would, you know, look like a freaking stick. Okay, so I weigh, you know, or even without the muscle, I would look kind of weird at 5 foot and whatever. So, you know, I weigh 117-ish, you know, and I'm 5 foot. So that doesn't mean that I'm overweight, because I've got the muscle. The muscle weighs more. And technically, we always say that muscle weighs more than fat, but a pound of muscle and a pound of fat still is a pound. It's just, if you lose, you know, 5 pounds of fat, you can probably replace that space. Like if you're kind of, you know, keeping the weight the same or something like that, you know, just for instance, just humor me. So if you lose 5 pounds of fat, and in order to replace that missing area of 5 pounds of fat, it might take 7 to 8 pounds of muscle to, you know, kind of fit in that space. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they say muscle in that sense. Muscle weighs more than fat. It's not that a pound of muscle weighs more than a pound of fat, because it doesn't. It's whatever, like if you have this much fat, in order for muscle to get in there, like if this is 5 pounds of fat, it might take, you know, like I said, 7 to 8 pounds of muscle to fill this spot. So then obviously that area is going to be heavier. If you understand, if you follow, I hope you followed what I was saying. So, you know, try the waist to hip ratio measurement, and see what you find. So again, it's your belly button waist measurement, and your hip at your widest part, with your feet hip width apart, measure that, and then you divide your waist by your hip. Women should come up with 0.80, and then men should be like in that average of 0.95. So, and again, like I said, numbers may vary just, you know, just because. So don't think like women, if you like measure yourself and you're like 0.90, that doesn't mean that you're like obese and your life is over. I'm just saying, you know, that could be like, as you're losing weight, keep those measurements in mind, and then go to that. And if you get to that 0.80, then, you know, kind of see how you are. Now, again, like I said, I didn't measure myself. I should have measured myself before I started this, but I don't go by those measurements. I don't go by the scale. I go by how I look and how I feel. And of course, I go by my abs, my calling card. If my abs aren't right, then I got to do something, you know. But, so again, it's all about how you feel. And another kind of like visual good, you know, weight, if you're not doing any numbers or whatever, a good visual is making sure that your waist is not bigger. It's making sure that your waist is smaller than your chest and or your hips. So, you know, but check out that waist to hip ratio and see where you are with that. BMIs, I don't really like the BMIs, and you know, because they are completely off. Like I said, my BMI has me in an overweight category, and I know I'm not overweight. And the height chart, that has me in an overweight category, and I don't like that either. You know, so and really, like, the best measurement, which you can't do by yourself, is the body fat measurement. You know, and like I do that here. I do body fat, and I do like circumference measurements too, to kind of make sure that you're, you know, on point with, you know, with inches lost and stuff like that. So I can do that for you as well. You know, so check out those measurements, and if you're curious about your body fat, if you want your body fat tested, come here, I can do it for you. But outside of that, check out your waist to hip ratio measurement and see where you are with that. But again, it's how you feel, and, you know, just making sure that you're just at a healthy weight for you and that you feel good, you know. And that's really what it's about. So I hope that helps. Leave me some comments. Give me something that you might want to hear, might want me to do a video on. And, you know, I'll see what I can do. All right? So stay tuned, stay informed, stay motivated. Bye.